More than 2 years ago, Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon took the Senate floor to boycott a 4-year extension to one of the most controversial pieces of legislation, the U.S. Patriot Act.
I've served on the Intelligence Committee for over a decade, and I want to deliver a warning this afternoon. When the American people find out how their government has secretly interpreted the Patriot Act, they are going to be stunned and they are going to be angry.
Now, we didn't know it at the time, but Senator Wyden's words would foreshadow just an inkling of the disturbing revelations to emerge regarding Americans' right to privacy. It's because of Wyden's chilling comment that privacy advocates began to ask questions about how the government had been interpreting one very questionable provision of the Patriot Act, known as Section 215, a section that vastly expanded the government's power to spy on ordinary people, referring to it as sensitive collection program. And now, more than 2 years after a FOIA request and a subsequent lawsuit from the American Civil Liberties Union and the Electronic Frontier Foundation, we finally have answers. Just yesterday, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released approximately 1,800 pages of documents that shed light on the constitutionality of the NSA's domestic surveillance program. So we now know more details on a program that started back in 2001 that allowed for the government to collect our phone records in bulk. That's right. Under this program, the NSA received daily transfers of all customer records from the nation's phone companies. Those records included incoming and outgoing calls, along with the call's duration. But more specifically, the documents reveal that the NSA had been running an automated alert list on the selected phone numbers. The spy agency kept a list of about 18,000 suspicious phone numbers. But senior intelligence officials now say that of the phone numbers on the alert list, more than 15,000 of them, or 88%, were wrongly included. And according to the documents, NSA officials didn't even understand that this activity was a violation of their own internal regulations. The Washington Post quoted one official as saying, "There was no single person with a complete understanding of the business records FISA system." And apparently that lack of understanding led to a small lack of communication. For 3 years, between 2006 and 2009, the NSA provided faulty information to the FISA Court, during which time the court continued to approve the bulk surveillance program. But in 2009, the court finally came down on the NSA when District Judge Reggie Walton, who oversaw a U.S. spy court, wrote a blistering opinion about the NSA's abuse of power. In fact, the judge almost shut down the government's domestic surveillance program after he, quote, lost confidence in the ability of NSA officials to operate it in the right way. But instead of shutting down the program, Walton instead ordered the NSA to conduct an end-to-end review of its policies and mandated that the organization be subject to closer monitoring. This might sound familiar to those of you who are following the fallout of the NSA scandal, in which the president's major action has been calling for its own review board. So there you have it, thousands of ordinary Americans being searched without meeting the NSA standard of reasonable, articulable suspicion, and as punishment, they're getting review boards. In Washington, Amira David, RT.